Welcome to ASTRO NEET.
I don't believe in anyone but me and what I can do. Don't tell me that you've forgotten about it. About the darkness you've got in that soul of yours. You can say that you killed me if you like. I might as well be dead already.
It's become painfully apparent I was born into the wrong era. As were you.
You are in the middle of something. Pardon me.
Hey, are you one of those so-called badasses? Mugen is the name, pal. You got that?
My name is Jane. You should remember it.
Where the hell is this Nagasaki place anyway? You heard anything about the food there?
They've got something called Castella that was brought over from Europe.
Airing in 2004 is Shinichiro Watanabe's acclaimed Samurai Champloo, releasing between two of his other series, Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy. Now, about 20 years later, Samurai Champloo is still one of the best works that he's ever directed, and nothing like it has been made since. Everything from the characters, to the music, to the story, all blend together to emanate a distinct atmosphere completely unique to Samurai Champloo. The exciting stories of Jin, Mugen, and Fu, and Momo, as well as the immaculate sounds delivered by Nujabes, Fat John, Force of Nature, and Tsuchi are part of the many reasons why Samurai Champloo is a remarkably special anime even now, after so many years. And there's nothing really that similar to it, going to show that Samurai Champloo is not just great, but also one of a kind. The main characters in the show are brought together by fate, all of them coincidentally meeting at a tea shop. Mugen trying to snag some free dumplings, Jin coming in after getting some coin for saving someone, and Fu just working there at the time. They get into some hot shit and eventually band together so that they can find a mysterious samurai who smells of sunflowers, which the show states has no scent. Mugen is a wild, uncontrollable swordsman hailing from the Ryukyu Islands, which the show describes as somewhat of a lawless land. He uses whatever he can to win in a fight, like using his surroundings, his metal-plated sandals, and unpredictable sporadic movements, relying solely on his instincts and reflexes akin to that of a beast. He's uncaring, thick-skinned, and does what he wants, but later on we see that underneath there are deeper thoughts, possibly being masked by his personality. Jin is an honorable and disciplined samurai, shown to be once an heir to a swordsmanship dojo. Jin fights with his precision, his intellect, and his raw skill. He relies on his form and confidence in his knowledge of the sword. He's well-mannered and somewhat a silent type. I want to say that he's soft-spoken, but actually it's more like he's calm, but his words have an edge to them, kinda like his blade. We come to find that his story is one of tragedy, and he would be alone if not for the circumstances that brought him into the group. Both Jin and Mugen are complete opposites of each other in their personalities and fighting style, but also similar at the same time. Both are relentless, unyielding, and so strong that they seem almost unbeatable. They complement each other perfectly. The cool-headed and precise Jin versus the loud and unpredictable Mugen. These two unstoppable forces only joining hands so that at the end of the journey, they could finish the fight that they started, because neither had come across anything like the other before. Fu is a brash and naive young lady. She gets into trouble and a lot of the times plays the role of the damsel. At first I wondered, why was she even in the show? Just to be cute? We already have the goat Momo, so why does she even need to be there? I thought that she was just an annoying character, having no other role than to have the other two save her when she's in a squeeze. But later on I found that she's definitely needed. Other than being the glue that held the group together and the story together, I think that she represented an innocence and optimism differing from the other two, mustering up her strength to finally go on this journey into the unknown, unsure of what will happen to her, but pushing through anyways. Now that these two people entered her life, they kind of became like her wings, helping her achieve what would be impossible by herself with their strength. Her being finally able to scream back at the void that is fate, despite being seemingly just a weak young girl. She was someone that kept the other two grounded, as well as what made their group so lively. Having her in the group and the story made the air around these three so warm and a bit like a family. She was what made them a group of friends rather than two dudes who wanted nothing other than to off the other. She might have played into the damsel in distress role, but after watching the show, I'd say that she was something that was worth protecting. Momo is a deep and misunderstood... I'm just kidding. Momo's just a cute flying squirrel thing and also the goat.
Samurai Champloo. 1, 2, 3.
Before we get into the story, I can't talk about Samurai Champloo without talking about its music. The soundtrack is separated into 4 discs: Impression, Playlist, Master, and Departure, which were made in collaboration by the talented artists previously stated, known as Nujabes, may he rest in peace, Fat John, Force of Nature, and Tsuchi, as well as Shing02, MINMI, Kazumi, and Midicronica for their work in the intros and outros. The jazzy and oftentimes soothing hip-hop mixed with the cutthroat samurai sword fighting comes together to produce something quite unique, a vibe that is undisputedly the property of Samurai Champloo. The hip-hop paired with the fights isn't usually blood-pumping, which is something that you typically want fighting music to be, but rather the music is kind of calming and allows you to see the fight with clarity and with a clear mind, allowing you to absorb the entirety of it undistracted. Every word spoken is heard clear, the choreography is in full display, and the conflict between the characters is fully understood. Outside of the fights, the show is peppered with these soothing and lo-fi beats, many saying that Nujabes helped pioneer the genre of lo-fi with his work on the Samurai Champloo soundtrack, as well as his other work beyond the soundtrack. The bond between anime and lo-fi started here, and is still standing strong today, having the DNA of Samurai Champloo etched right into it. Sometimes when I was watching the show and the music hit, I almost forgot that I was watching a story, and I just vibe out to the music. My experience while watching the show was riddled with a lot of rewinding because the music was just that good. The intros and outros are also among the few unskippable ones in anime. I watched each episode from the beginning of the intro all the way to the end of the outro every time, and that's how big a role that the music played into the identity of Samurai Champloo.
Samurai Champloo.
Just like its two brothers, Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy, Samurai Champloo is fairly episodic. There's a main story introduced in the beginning, and a nice conclusion to that story in the end. But within its 26 episodes, most of them don't particularly follow that said story. Each episode is basically its own contained story, except for the few that unfold within 2. They're usually about the people and the problems that the main gang run into on their way to, at first, Edo, and then Nagasaki, while on their journey to find the samurai who smells of sunflowers. Many of the episodes tackle serious topics like homosexuality, xenophobia, poverty, and religion, as the crew meets various people and discover their misfortunes. An ogre who resorted to violence after being viciously discriminated against. A woman forced into prostitution thanks to her husband's debt. A man framed for the murder of his tribe, including his wife and child. A blind songstress who needs to work to ensure the survival of her son, as well as many more. These one-offs feel like they're cut short since that's the nature of being only told in 1 or 2 episodes, and I could say that they ended abruptly, but it's more like their stories are just much larger than what the show is able to show us, existing further beyond the screen. Also, some of them are about baseball, and whatever this is.
For Pete's sake!
The episodes about Mugen display his drive to fight, win, and dominate the situations thrown at him, showing his free will to do whatever he wants, however he wants. And the episodes about his past show how chaotic his life was before he joined the group, the way of living in the Ryukyu Islands, as well as what he had to do to survive all that time living there, getting close to dying many times in the past and in the show. The episodes about Jin are more somber and sad. They will reveal a man who will go through with his decisions even if the odds are stacked against him. The episodes about his past show how he lived in the dojo, being the best student, as well as his life of being the star pupil, ending tragically before he fled the dojo and eventually joined the group as well. The episodes about Fu, when she's not being captured or in trouble, is about her getting closer and closer to the samurai who smells of sunflowers, having a few flashbacks that link her to him. Her story being a bit more bittersweet the more we find out about her past. As the story progresses, while the goal of the journey is still very much important to her, she begins to wish that it would never end, something that the other two seem to think as well, showing that being on this journey and going through so many things together, the three have become incredibly close. The episodes about Momo are an analogy. I'm just kidding. There are sadly no episodes about Momo the goat. Real quick, I want to say that after watching the show again, I can confirm that Samurai Champloo's ending is one of the most satisfying and best endings in anime. Even though it's been out for 20 years, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it does make you reminisce on the journey that you just went on with these three, as well as making you realize that the world moves on, and how the story will keep moving on too, past its ending, into a future that we can't see, but that's okay. Another season wouldn't be fitting for a show like this anyways. It was a nice, perfect ending that leaves a good taste in your mouth. Okay, that's it about the ending. If you haven't seen Samurai Champloo for yourself yet, then I'd say check it out. It holds up incredibly well, and even if you don't end up liking it as much as me, I can assure you that it'll be like nothing you've seen before. The show's music and style are timeless, the entirety of it being so unique that it ends up making the anime an unforgettable experience. There's a reason why it left such a big mark when it ran 20 years ago. When people say that Samurai Champloo is their #1 anime, even if you don't agree, Samurai Champloo has such a distinct and original identity that you can't help but understand why it's their favorite. So if you like the idea of smooth, dope hip-hop, badass, well-choreographed sword fights, and strong character bonds plus development, as well as some miscellaneous crazy stuff, then give Samurai Champloo a shot. And if you've already seen it, I think most likely you're due for another watch. I'll see you in the same place next time on ASTRO NEET.